human sacrifice. It's the true origin of human sacrifice. This is why our ancestors would sacrifice human beings to the gods. Well, that's because the aliens were actually eating us this whole time. This is why there was something called the slaughter stone at Stonehenge. Now, what would happen is, what I believe, is that when the sun fell between the heel stones, Orion themselves would show up to collect their offering. The people who have been worshiping these aliens in secret this whole time, the whole royal bloodline, they all worship and work for the Orion group and the Alpha Draconians.
The Nazca Lines are a group of pre-Columbian geoglyphs etched into the earth in coastal Peru and were designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1994. Tonight, we talk about the mysteries of the Nazca Lines, their origin and their function. That and more, coming right up on My Alien Life. My Alien Life is recorded live from atop the Northern Rocky Mountains and is available on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and everywhere fine podcasts are found. My website is at www.myalienlifepodcast.com. There you will find my email address, all previously recorded shows, and more. I am Cameron Brower. This is My Alien Life, and the podcast starts right now.
My Alien Life Podcast.
Three, two, 1, 0, and liftoff.
My guest tonight is a 39-year-old Zen Buddhist teacher, scientist, and aspiring writer who is inspired to discover the truth of alien beings and has also launched a project to study the Nazca Lines in Peru. Ryushin Malone is here tonight. Ryushin, thank you so much for joining me and welcome.
Thank you for having me, Cam.
Yeah, absolutely. I was looking at your website, which is really interesting, and to me, I want to know, immediately what prompted your research into aliens in Peru.
Well, it's a very long story, but basically, one summer day in 2017, I was sitting meditation at my Zendo, which is a meditation hall, where I was teaching Zazen meditation, which is sitting meditation. And I felt a touch underneath my chin. And it lifted up my chin and extended my head all the way up and exposed my neck. And when I looked down through my nose, I saw a translucent being in front of me with big black eyes. And it was about 3 foot tall, and it was like transparent. It was like either other dimensional or interdimensional or an invisibility technology. And then a second being stepped around the right side of the first being in front of me with a long iron rod, and it pressed it up against my neck for a few seconds and then let go. And the rod was about 2 foot long with a quarter collar at the end of it that went up against my neck like a collar, like a dog collar, but it was like a quarter of a collar at the end of this rod that pressed up against my neck. And after a few moments, a few seconds, it released. It was also a transparent being, and it stepped behind the being and disappeared, the first being. It then lowered my head back to where it was originally, and I watched it step backwards and turn to the right and disappear. After that, I went home and I freaked out. I freaked out because for the first time in my life, I realized that they're real. These things are real. And it was very exciting, very emotional, and it got me right to work. I started collecting as much information about the phenomenon as possible, and came across something called the Nazca alien mummies. The Nazca alien mummies were found in 2016 and then released on Gaia TV in 2017. Basically, they found two different species of aliens in the Nazca Peru desert: a 2-foot-tall creature and a 5-foot-tall alien being. About a week later, I was watching some kind of Egypt documentary on Netflix, and I realized that the same species, the 2-foot-tall alien being, were sitting with King Akhenaten and Queen Nefertiti. And they were there in Egypt. And they were all over King Akhenaten and all over Queen Nefertiti, which was my first, unbeknownst to me, discovery. I didn't realize that I'd be making discoveries left and right. But that discovery, that realization occurred 7/25/2017, and I dated everything. I dated all my discoveries because I knew how significant it was. This was the first public realization that that we were dealing with aliens for real. And that's what got me involved. That's what got me started in this whole thing.
Talk a little bit about the Nazca Lines and their history and what they look like and how they were discovered.
Yes. The Nazca Lines are hundreds of straight lines in the Nazca Peru desert that run for 132 miles long. There are hundreds of lines. They look like runways. There are many pictures of the lines, but it's very difficult to find the lines in its entirety. When I finally found a picture, an image of the lines in its entirety, and I wasn't interested in the geoglyphs. I mean, I thought they were cool and all that. The geoglyphs are pictographs of images like the hand, the monkey, the spiral, the alien being, and birds, and animals and all that. Those are the pictographs or geoglyphs that accompany the lines. What I was interested in the lines, I wanted to see what they were. I wanted to see the map in its entirety, and finally I found one map. There's only one map in the entire world that has the lines in its entirety, and I found that from a historical society. 1994 released it, and you can search the Nazca Lines map. That's what you have to search for in Google, Nazca Lines map, and it will show you, or you can go to the OrionLines.com, see a picture of just the lines. I printed the lines out. I was looking for something different than what I was expecting, what I found. I was actually looking for something known as the Regalian symbol. It's a triangle, like a teepee, with a line running straight down the middle and two circles at the top of the teepee. And that's the symbol of the Rigel, the people from Rigel, Orion, Rigel. That's what I was looking for. Anyway, I printed out a bunch of these, maps, and I put them on my desk, and the very next day, I picked them up to look for the symbol. And I didn't see it, but I circled the three main points of the line and realized, oh my God, that's Orion. Little did I know that it would take me a year and a week to get the correct configuration, but I finally got it.
So why weren't you interested in the images, like the animals and the flower and the tree that are depicted there out in the desert?
I think they're interesting, but I wanted to see the lines in its entirety so I could, see what it was.
Gotcha.
Maybe even to solve. I felt it was important, and there was only one map, so I wanted to see the lines and what did it say. And I realized after a year I realized immediately, even with the wrong configuration, I knew it was Orion, and it told me that aliens came from Orion and that these were their territory markings. It's absolute proof that aliens are real and they come from Orion. And not only that, but it appears that Earth and our solar system is actually their solar system. It's in the middle of their territory. It also said to me that these beings have time travel. There's no other way to cross that great distance without time travel, or interdimensional travel, or however they're doing it, wormholes, black holes, whatever they're using to get here, it's faster than light. Even to travel at light speed, the Orion stars are about 1,000 light years from here. That's a very long time to travel, even at the speed of light. So it told me that these beings are dealing with time travel. And not only that, but once I knew that Orion was real, it told me that the Alpha Draconians were real. And the Alpha Draconians, and if you look it up, once I knew it was Orion, I knew, I searched for Orion and came across the Orion group. I knew that the Orion group was real. And what they had to say about the Orion group was nothing good. So if you look up the Alpha Draconian and the Orion group is a satanic force who take over star systems throughout the galaxy. And that was really an uh-oh moment.
You had a lot of these uh-oh moments.
Yeah, there were a lot of uh-oh moments.
So all of a sudden you're in possession of all this knowledge. Why do you think that part happened?
I don't know. Did the aliens who made contact with me know that I would make such wonderful, incredible discoveries? And if so, would I have made those discoveries with them not coming to me? You know what I mean? So,
or if you were actually the chosen person to determine this.
I don't want to say that I am, and I don't want to think that either. But with all these discoveries, it's pretty obvious.
Sure.
I think the worst part about this has been the elite and the secret government has known it's been Orion this whole time. This is why Stonehenge is aligned to Orion, and Egypt is aligned to Orion and Draco. The Egyptian pyramids aligned to Orion's belt. Well, so does Stonehenge. Stonehenge aligns to Orion. But the problem is that, well, the truth is, there's something there called the slaughter stone. And what they were doing back then was human sacrifice. You see, this is the true origin of human sacrifice. Not necessarily just at Stonehenge, but throughout every ancient culture and ancient part of our history. Human sacrifice was to the gods. Who are the gods? Beings from the sky. Where were they coming from? They were coming from Orion, among other places, I'm sure. But with Orion, the people found out what they were doing. These people from Orion were coming there and harvesting human beings, which I've discovered that the whole cattle mutilation, the human mutilation, were actually adrenochrome harvesting. That's what I've discovered. They were actually torturing these beings and human beings for their adrenaline, for their adrenochrome, and other parts of the body, blood, organs.
So is there no distinction or no chemical difference between a cattle adrenochrome and a human?
No, there's not. But you cannot replicate it.
Right.
You can't. Epinephrine is not adrenochrome. It's it's a almost. It's not. It's like oh gosh, you get any kind of medication when it's like OxyContin, and you get a generic brand. The generic brand is never the same as the original brand. The original brand is always much more powerful and does something different. It's close, but not it. It's not it. So anyway, there's only one way to get adrenochrome. There's only one way to get adrenaline, and that's to torture a being. Torture. And I realized that that's what they were doing, and they were adrenochrome harvesting, and it's not mutilation, it's not cattle mutilation, it's not human mutilation, but it's adrenochrome harvesting. They're harvesting the body, and they're torturing people and animals to produce adrenaline. They drink it, and it gets them high. Among other things, they drink the blood as a food source, or they liquefy the organs or eat the organs. I don't know, but they take the eyes and the lymph nodes and the glands along with the organs, the sexual organs. They take almost everything. They strip the body of what they want, what they eat.
So back up. Let me ask you one quick question. Yeah, back up a little bit about the adrenochrome. So does harvesting of that result in death? I mean, can you harvest that from somebody and keep them alive? So death is an ultimate. There's no way around it.
Yeah. No. What I realized is that do you know Fire in the Sky?
Yeah,
you ever seen that movie?
You bet. Travis Walton.
Well, that's Travis Walton's story. But it's not his story. And I realized that they changed his story to show us exactly how they've been adrenochrome harvesting human beings for real. That's why his story was different. In the movie.
Now, who's they? Who changed the story?
The military. I'm guessing that somebody in the military.
Okay.
They pay Hollywood to make things, easier for people to, V, the movie V, where these aliens show up and they're, oh, we're here to help you. Meanwhile, they're eating us. Mm-hmm. They live. Guy finds out aliens are actually secretly in control of the entire world. Back to the Future. Time travel? What? Oh, we have time travel? Yeah, secretly. Yes, the U.S. government has had time travel for quite some time. It's called the Looking Glass device and the Orion Cube, which is a quantum time viewing device. They're both quantum time viewing device, allowing the viewer to see past in the present and the future. And having that technology actually kind of changes the nature of reality itself. So we're not just living in this moment to moment, but with that technology of time travel, we actually live in this moment in all moments. It changes the nature of reality itself. That's why all these alien beings aren't hanging around. The positive alien beings aren't hanging around right now because we haven't come together as a group and decided we need to make a present moment, which we do. We need to come together as a society because we have time travel and because it changes the nature of reality itself. We need to come together and actually agree upon an actual present moment in time to allow the observer or whoever's going back in time to come back to the present moment to, bring back information from the past. That's why we need a present moment. And I think that's why all the good aliens aren't hanging around us right now, because we haven't socially agreed upon an actual present moment because we have time travel.
We haven't socially agreed upon a lot of things.
Yeah, but we need to agree upon a present moment for the observer to return to. I'm sure they have it. I'm sure they have one. I mean, they have to have one. They have to have a present moment, agreed upon time for that time traveler to get back to with the information. Otherwise, they'd be showing up and being like, "Hey, what are you doing here? Oh, what? I'm bringing back information. What do you mean? For what?" It just doesn't make any sense for the time traveler. We have to have a present moment to come back to. Yes, this is the present moment for all of us, but when you're dealing with time travel, we actually have to have an agreed upon time. Anyway, that's a totally different subject that I'm not going to touch on right now. I think I just explained a lot of it. Once I realized they had time travel, I actually wrote something called the Timeline Accordance Declaration, outlawing time travel. Because if you go back in time and you change one thing, that changes everything. That changes that person's future. So time travel is a black ball technology. It's extremely dangerous. It's extremely dangerous. One bad move with time travel, and you could change everything. Anyway, let me get back to the adrenochrome harvesting. Adrenochrome, human sacrifice. It's the true origin of human sacrifice. This is why our ancestors would sacrifice human beings to the gods. Well, that's because the aliens were actually eating us this whole time. This is why there was something called the slaughter stone at Stonehenge. Now, what would happen is, I believe, is that when the sun fell between the heel stone, Orion themselves would show up to collect their offering. These elites, the people who have been worshiping these aliens in secret this whole time, usually the kings and queens of, the whole royal bloodline, the whole, societal pyramid that we're in now, they all worship and work for the Orion group and the Alpha Draconians in secret. Well, not anymore. Now that they're all exposed, well, that's what's been going on this whole time. So in any event, they've been worshiping these beings for thousands of years. And what happened was some of the people found out what was going on at Stonehenge. This is why Stonehenge was partially destroyed. I don't know when, 1,000 years ago, 5,000 years ago. Whenever the people found out, they tried to destroy it because they found out what was going on. They've been eating human beings. This is why they rebuilt it in 1901 in reference to Orion. So, now, this is going to lead into something I realized last year that really made sense and very disturbing. This is going to lead to World War II and what happened in World War II. Now, what I've come to realize is that World War I and World War II were actually used, the elite actually funded Germany as a doorstop to stop the spread of communist Russia into Europe. That's why Germany was so well funded. It was to stop the spread of socialist Russia or communist Russia into Europe. And it went so well for them. They got all this great technology out of World War I. They played both sides, the oil, the electricity, the railroads. The elite made out really well. Then, in World War II, what I realized is that the Holocaust was actually an adrenochrome harvest in trade for technology. Because why just kill them when you can kill them in trade for technology? It made sense. It made sense because how else did these Nazis get their hands on this technology, this great technology? So I have about an hour. We have about an hour's worth of video and documentation of these flying saucers that they were flying around in the 30s and 40s.
So you really think that the Nazis held some amazing technology? Like,
well, they do. I'm sure they're still around out there somewhere. If not Antarctica, they're on the moon. If not the moon, somewhere else, maybe Titan. Have you ever seen Titan? Oh, man. A few years ago, I realized that Titan was actually an Earth-like planet. It's true. If you look at the images, Titan has cloud formation, land mass, ocean. It actually has a hurricane. You can see that. It's funny because no one else realized it until about a year later. Some kid at a college university realized the same thing and got published. He got into the news about it. And I was like, motherfucker, again, another one of my realizations just, taken away. And that's what this whole thing has been about, my friend. They had known it's Orion this whole time. They knew about the Orion lines. They've been dealing with Orion this whole time. So they've been suppressing my research and my realizations. All right, so let me get back to World War II, okay? World War II was an adrenochrome harvest in trade for technology. Why just kill them when you can kill them in trade for technology? And that's how they got all that technology. How they did it, I'm not sure. Were they just trading them children? So, like we've heard, the stories of them eating children, it's possible. Were they trading men and women? I don't know. Maybe. Were they doing it right there on the spot and adrenochrome harvesting them there? I don't know. Were they taking the children out into space and doing it somewhere else? And, I have no idea. But it makes sense. Now, this was last year when I realized that. A month ago, I found proof. I realized that the Nazi death march and the pathways that led to the death camps, the railroads that led to all these death camps in Nazi Germany, are actually in the shape of Orion.
Why would that be?
At that point, I knew I was right. It's in reverence to them. It's an homage to Orion because they can see that from space. Because they got to watch their food walk all the way.
So why do you feel symbolism is so important? Because obviously it is in other realms, but in this one, it would seem like a minor thing to something so technical with that possesses such a huge amount of technology that we don't have.
Well, it is important now because it reveals everything. It reveals that these elites who were behind funding Germany. That's how Germany got so strong after World War I, 20 years after, and they stood right up like that and had all these, great, all these great tanks and planes and all that stuff, Well, they were funded. They were funded by the elite because they were trying to stop the spread of communist Russia. But they also made a deal with Orion at that time. And I believe they targeted the Jews because 5,000 years before the Holocaust, Moses led the Jews out of Egypt. He freed the slaves. And I think that they targeted the Jewish people because out of revenge for that, for leaving Egypt 5,000 years before. Some people might think I'm crazy, but it makes sense. Now, I figured that out because of the pyramids aligned to Orion's belt. And it makes sense. So, was it a revenge thing? It's possible. But to have the Nazi death march, the Nazi railroads aligned in the shape of Orion as an homage to Orion, that says it all. That says that they were for sure trading human beings for technology. Now, there's a problem. The same exact railroads were built in the 70s in the heart of America with taxpayers' money in secret underground dumps, deep underground military bases. The identical railroad in the shape of Orion. Why? Why would they build the identical railroads as to the Nazi death camps in the heart of America, in the shape of Orion? Who paid for that?
So assuming there is a railroad, an underground railroad in the U.S.
There is.
Where is it? And what is its function?
Sure, we have thousands of images of them drilling under there. They've been drilling under there for since the 70s. We have insiders who have come forward, military insiders. Yes, we've been down in those deep underground military bases. Yes. Where is $23 trillion missing? Where did all that money go?
What's the function of the railroad?
What's the function? Well, unfortunately, I came across a woman who came forward last year. Her name is Katie Groves. And Katie Groves said that she was involved in a child snuffering in a deep underground military base. And she said that she was living in Austin and that she recalls the drive being about 45 minutes to get to this place. Well, I looked it up on Google and found out that Fort Hood was exactly 45-minute drive from Austin, Texas. Now, she said that she witnessed a child genocide occurring there. That the elite were torturing, raping, murdering, and eating children. And
so let me just ask you this: where do you find proof of that? I mean, to me, this is an Alex Jones thing, but
well, when I heard this, I was aghast. I was like,
well, I would be too, yeah.
I felt her heart when I heard her message. I felt her heart, and I felt her heart, and I knew. I knew that she was telling the truth. And not only that, but the story that she told was so complex. It was just not possible to dream this up. You couldn't just lie this whole imaginary thing up, especially when you have all the evidence. And what is the evidence? Well, Pizzagate. Pizzagate was not fake news. And the reason why Pizzagate was covered up was because of James Elefantis, the pizza owner at Comet Ping Pong. He is actually the nephew of Lord Jacob Rothschild, the Pinder, or the pinnacle of the Draco, or the penis of the dragon. He's the main representative here on Earth for the Alpha Draconian. Well, he also owns the 6 major news stations, who covered up Pizzagate and called it fake news. It's very, very fascinating. I've been watching this whole thing. It's very, very fascinating to look at the Google search. If you Google search fake news and Pizzagate, at the same time, they spike exactly at the same time. That's the origin of fake news when it first came out. When we first heard those words together, was actually to cover up Pizzagate.
Don't you think, though, that if there was really a Pizzagate, that the Republicans would jump all over it, trying to bury people like Anthony Weiner and Hillary Clinton?
And hence Q. It's been in the works for a very long time. There are a lot of very powerful men who have been keeping this whole thing going for a very long, long time. And it's been going on right under our noses, the whole Bohemian Grove thing. All of those women coming up saying that they've been part of this satanic ritual abuse and this whole satanic thing where these people, these men, are actually engaged in child molestation and child killing. Well, that kind of makes sense considering that Bao is pictured sitting with his hand to the moon and his hand to the earth with 2 children in front of him. So the whole satanic ritual thing, they're into having sex with children. That's part of their thing. And there's so much evidence out there, it's not even funny. You have the Hampstead children stepping forward saying that they were engaged with their father doing satanic rituals of killing children and drinking their blood and dancing around with their skulls. You see how this is all connected? They're drinking the blood, adrenochrome.
What's the pedophile link? I mean, why that and not just sacrificing children for adrenochrome? I
don't know. It makes them feel like gods. It maybe the aliens taught them that. I have no idea. It's very complex. This thing is multifaceted, and it all surrounds the satanic ritual abuse and Orion. Adrenochrome harvesting. So in any event, all the information that you need is at theorionlines.com. Look under adrenochrome harvesting, look under Uncle Sam's Snuff Factory. That's what they were calling it in secret. You see, there's just too much information that Katie Groves divulged in her video to go away. Nah, she's just fake news. No. When she came forward and said they were secretly calling it Uncle Sam's Snuff Factory. Now, she said that she witnessed, she was there for many years, 17 years, witnessing rich, aristocratic white women ordering children on menus to have them cooked and served so they could eat them. So, coupled with all the elite's fascination with their art and cannibalism, it makes sense. It makes sense. But it's not only that.
So
Since
when did we and you first learn of Katie Groves? Where did we first see her?
October of 2018, I found her video out of nowhere. Just looking.
Mm-hmm.
Just looking for something.
So
searching.
And there's supposedly the snuff factories in Texas, correct?
In Texas, yes.
Okay.
In Killeen, Texas.
Right.
Fort Hood. Now, since 2016, 119 soldiers have been dying at an alarming rate at Fort Hood. And I don't know if that, that rings any bells for you, but it certainly did for me when I found that information out, especially when Katie Groves released the video in March and Fort Hood decided to stop publicly announcing the deaths at Fort Hood. It started to get a little funny there.
So how did any of these soldiers die? Do you know? I mean,
they've been dying all kinds of different causes, all kinds. Who knows? It's just strange. You see, it's just very strange that all these people are dying there at an alarming rate. Yeah. So in any event, let me get back to the whole alien thing. So anyway, let me think.
Let me ask you this while you're thinking about that. So,
Mm-hmm.
we have soldiers dying and other people that are being sacrificed, and why not homeless? Why not people that'll never be missed? Why are prominent people disappearing like that?
Well, it wasn't prominent. They were just soldiers. They were just the U.S. government trying to cover up the snuff factory. These people which I assume were probably watching child pornography on the internet, and they got caught. And these people, like from the CIA, would show up and go, okay, here's the deal. You help us, and you won't go to jail. And that's how that whole thing works. But that's just a theory. It's just very convenient that an alarming amount of soldiers are dying at that same place that I've pinpointed this child snuffering to be happening at. She said that she watched them videotape the whole thing and that they were secretly selling it on the black web. So anyway, since 2016, that's changed. But this, coupled with the identical railroads as to the Nazi death camps in the shape of Orion, is scary. Especially with the whole Antarctica thing. I mean, when after World War II, Admiral Byrd was ordered with the Pacific Fleet, the entire Pacific Fleet, to go down in Operation High Jump, to go down to Antarctica to flush out the remaining Nazis down there. Well, when Admiral Byrd got down there, he fell under attack by Nazi UFOs and unmarked extraterrestrial UFOs. He was captured and taken to the alleged no-fly zone nowadays, the hole in Antarctica where the aliens were living, and he was told by the aliens, don't come back. So he went home. In 1952, there was a UFO flyover the Capitol building. What was that? Those were the Nazis. They were flying over in a show of force. In 1954, the Grenada Treaty was signed with the alien nation of Orion, trading human beings and cattle for technology, just as the Nazis did in World War II, secretly. And it's never been about the United States versus anyone else. It's never been about the United States versus Russia, the United States versus China or Iran or Germany, Nazi Germany, these Nazis. No, it's never been about that. It's always been about the elite hitting the people against the people. That's who this has all been about. It's always been the elite versus the people. You know, you have to look at the chess game to understand, you know, who's playing who, what is happening here. And it just so happens that this all adds up. So in any event, in the 50s, 54, Eisenhower signed a secret treaty with the alien nation of Orion, trading human beings and cattle for technology. Well, this had been going on until December 7th, 2018, when it was leaked that lizard people were coming out of the ground at Area 51, that there was a huge excursion happening at Area 51, a lot of action, unprecedented action out by Area 51, and that aliens were coming out of the ground out there. And that was December 7th, 2018. And when I read that, I was like, holy, wow, that's pretty, that's interesting news, you know? So I kept that information. And 12 days later, on December 19th, 2018, a gigantic pyramid-shaped craft appeared above the Pentagon. We have 3 different videos, 3 of the same object, of 3 different perspectives, 3 different videos. A massive pyramid. It's estimated to be about 5 football fields long on each side. It was massive, and it sat there and it hovered above the Pentagon, which told me that information of the aliens, you know, the revolt, the human rebellion, the government kicking the reptilians, the lizard people, out of Area 51 was true. Why else would the aliens expose themselves and show up right above the Pentagon like that? Now, the same craft was seen hovering above the Kremlin in 2009. There's like 5 or 6 different videos of the same craft. From that information, and also in March of 2019, of March, the Russians were allowed for the first time ever to fly over Area 51. That told me that, well, they were going to go check out, make sure that they were gone. Now, from the pyramid-shaped craft, seeing it, actually knowing that they have that type of craft for real, allowed me to solve the Great Pyramids of Giza. And I realized that the Great Pyramids of Giza were actually water wells. They were using the Nile River to collect at the bottom of the pyramid and fill up with water. And this pyramid-shaped craft would land at the top of the pyramid, just as in Stargate, the movie Stargate, and take out clean, drinkable water. That's what these pyramids were for, or at least the Great Pyramid. That's what it was used for. It was a water well for water harvesting, clean, drinkable water. Now, oh boy, there's just, you know, it's just such a shame. You know, I have shown all of my findings and evidence to every ancient alien astronaut, theorist, all of them, to the Stars Academy, every single ufologist in the field, all to ignore my work, and to, I had one person from the guy from the Black Vault say, stop spamming my page, trying to get this information out to them. And every major scientist, only to be ignored.
Why do you think that is?
And Well, because they knew it was Orion. Well, some of them probably think I'm nuts. But I know for sure that, most of them knew it was Orion. And this is why they built that huge United States Air Force Memorial in the back of the Pentagon, because it aligns with Orion's belt. It's an homage to Orion, again. And I believe that when that alignment occurs, the Alpha Draconian's homeworld in Draco aligns with the Washington Monument. And I think that's what all those large pillar-shaped monuments align to. They align to the Alpha Draconian's home star, which is Thurbon. That's the name of the home star. And I got that information because of the Great Pyramids the shafts align to Orion's belt, and on the other side it aligns to Draco, and it aligns to Thurbon, the star Thurbon, their home star. So it's pretty scary, but, I figured that out when I went to go protest the White House last week. I was down in D.C. With the Nazca alien mummies and my Orion lines, and some pictures of the human mutilations, as well as the picture of James Rothschild in the family photos of Lord Jacob Roth with the Rothschild family. I mean, he's like 5 people down from Lord Jacob Rothschild. He's right there in the picture. But, the funny thing is that, in Comet Ping Pong, there's a mural of an alien playing ping pong with a human. Well, that told me everything. That told me that, Rothschild has been engaged fighting these positive beings who've been trying to help us, the Zeta Reticuli. Well, I believe they are the Zeta Reticulans. But that showed me that they were engaged in a war with these beings. And that's why Comet Ping Pong and the whole Pizzagate thing is so significant in the whole UFO alien thing, because he's a Rothschild. This is where it all ties in, And, to think that, Uncle Sam's Snuff Factory was just like, a made-up thing, that's not very smart. You really have to look at the evidence. There's plenty of evidence. I mean, all the elite are all into this, child abuse images, this whole cannibalistic thing they've got going on. It makes sense. What are they doing? They've been eating people? Why? Well, because the aliens showed up and they taught them adrenochrome harvesting. They probably, thought, here, why don't you try some of this? It's scary, but it's the truth. And that's what my research has uncovered.
I tried to contact you this afternoon, and getting in contact with you this afternoon via Facebook, and you were no longer on Facebook. Why did that happen?
Well, they have been blocking me up and down. Not only have they been ignoring me, but they've deleted about 12, 14 different Twitter accounts that I've had. So I've been running around attacking them. I mean, did I go over attacking them on Twitter? I think I did. So I attacked them on Twitter with all the alien images. I attacked the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the White House, the NASA. Once I realized that they were ignoring me, I started attacking. And I started my attack in November. My attack went well. It actually led a result.
What was the goal?
Well, the goal was to completely devastate them in order to reach a reaction. To attack them with the truth, the images. I had about 100, maybe about 60 different images of alien beings that I've collected through, careful examination. Are these real or not? And from my asking that, I decided, yes, some of these images are real. And I took those images and the video. And, I figured out how the aliens talk. You know what they sound like?
I don't.
They actually sound like birds. They make bird-like calls. I have about 4 different species making different calls. Yeah, I actually figured out how they talk.
That seems less sophisticated than I thought it would be.
So, well, it's true. It's true. So anyway, I took all that information and all the video of them and all the UFOs and all that stuff, and I attacked the fuck out of them because they were ignoring me, because they knew it was Orion, and I know it was Orion. So I started attacking them with the truth, and it resulted in a positive result. And NASA came out on December 4th, 2018. See how I know all these dates? Been memorizing everything, so not to be discredited because of what I've done and what people have been ignoring. So anyway, in December 4th, 2018, NASA came out saying that tiny super intelligent alien beings may have visited Earth, and humans simply didn't notice them. And there was no pictures of these super tiny, super intelligent alien beings. No pictures. And then I started attacking them again. Where are the images? Where are the pictures? Where are the images? Which tiny, super intelligent alien beings? I was the only one asking the goddamn question. And it really pissed me off, and so I attacked them for 8 months. Joint Chiefs of Staff, to the Stars Academy, every ufologist, all the scientists, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Michio Kaku, Bill Nye, anyone I could possibly think of. I attacked them all. The White House reporters, the Pentagon reporters, all the major news, outlets. You see, what I realized was that if you make a comment in Twitter, it gets lost in the feed. And if you post a picture in Twitter, it will get lost in the feed of whatever you're posting on. You post a comment. But I realized if you post a video, it stays at the top of the goddamn comment. That way, when somebody goes to check on what they wrote and see if they're getting any reactions, they'd stumble across all these aliens walking around, making bird-like calls. So I weaponized Twitter. And it was very useful because I could just jump around to everybody's account and just attack the shit out of them all day long. I did that for 8 months. Every single day for 8 months. Oh my goodness. Oh, I thought it was great. Oh, let me tell you, I attacked every senator, every politician, everybody. I attacked all of them. And it actually led to the Senate, because I had the adrenochrome harvested bodies, the pictures of the adrenochrome harvested human beings. I took all those pictures and I plastered them all over the White House, the Pentagon, the Joint Chiefs, NASA. I posted all those pictures of all the dead human beings who've been adrenochrome harvested all over the senators' Twitter accounts. This led to the senators finally being briefed in March or April of 2019 what was going on. This is why Senator Blumenthal got in front of the Space Force Committee. This is why they're making a Space Force. There's only one reason why we need Space Force, and that's to put on the book.
So,
the whole thing about 9/11, why 9/11 happened, was actually to hide the missing $2.3 trillion that Rumsfeld uncovered missing from the Pentagon on 9/10 2001, which resulted in 9/11. Now, why was 9/11 targeted? It wasn't the two towers. It was World Trade Center 7 and the Pentagon to destroy the paper trail leading to the secret Space Force. That's what this whole thing was. That's why 9/11 happened. It was to hide the money in the paper trail leading to the aliens and the secret Space Force. The only reason why they're making a Space Force now is because they're missing $23 trillion, and they can't go on like this. They can't go on. Now that we have the bodies from the Nazca Peru, the alien mummies, now that I've solved the Nazca Lines and renamed them the Orion Line, it's proof that the aliens are real and they come from Orion. The game is over. This is why they're actually putting Space Force on the books. There is a Space Force. It's a secret Space Force, but now the only reason why they're making a Space Force is to put on the books. They have to have it legitimate now. So anyway, with Senator Blumenthal gets up there and he goes, our adversaries know what they are doing. We know what they are doing. They know what we know. They know that we know what they are doing, but the American people have no idea. Well, that was some misinformation coming from somebody to get to Blumenthal because he was wrong. I knew exactly what they were doing. They were eating human beings. Our adversaries know what they are doing. Who are adversaries? All right, Iran, China, Japan, whoever, Russia, know what the aliens, are doing. I think they'd be pretty alarmed, he said. Yeah, you think? Yeah, I'm the only one that knows. I'm the only one that knows the truth that's running around going fucking crazy because that they've been eating human beings.
Are other countries engaged in that as well?
With what? Trading?
With or collecting adrenochrome and eating human beings.
I don't know. What I do know is that the whole thing is a nightmare. The whole thing's a nightmare. Finding out that Orion is real and that they're a satanic force and they are basically, the Alpha Draconians are behind them, and that's all real. And the fact that these alien beings have been coming into people's homes and taking them for whatever they want, medical experiments, genetic harvesting, eggs, semen, taking children. They're making all these movies like Area 51, that movie where the guys, the kids break into Area 51, they go downstairs into the basement, they see the clothes all over the ground, they see a child's playroom, underground, and they're like, what the fuck is this? This is so weird. And then they come across a table covered in blood, and then they come across sleeping pods with, that look like aliens. Yeah, this is starting to make sense, right? And Travis Walton's, the movie, Fire in the Sky, there was clothes all over the place, all kinds of human remains, not remains, but glasses and watches and, books and clothing all over the floor there. It was dirty with human belongings, human stuff. There's a reason why they make these movies the way they do. And it's to start showing the people what's been really going on. And what's been going on is that these motherfuckers have been eating human beings. And that is unacceptable.
We run out of time here really quick. Let me ask you one thing before we close. I want to know, you've done all this research so far. What's coming up next? What's your next step in this plan?
Well, I'm trying to get some funding. I'm desperate need of some funding.
I am
in order to write a book. I really need to write a book to get, my work published. Especially I'm kind of trapped. Because they knew it was Orion. So, which means that they probably knew the Orion, well, I know they knew that the Nazca Lines were actually the Orion Lines because of, oh God, what's his name? Carl Sagan and the Voyager craft. You know that the star pattern of our sun that they put on Voyager that represents our sun, Sol? Well, that came from the Nazca Lines. That's how they knew. That's how they knew that was our sun, the pattern of our sun. It's in the Nazca Lines. That's the same. It's the same image. It's the same star pattern. I think they measure pulsars, the measurement of pulsars to find out exactly where we're located. Well, that's right in the middle of the Nazca Line. So they knew. They knew. Now, when did they figure it out? I have no idea. Maybe in the 40s, maybe in the 20s. Who knows? But all I know is that it's been secret all the way until I solved them 9/1/2018, 2019. Shit, I can't remember. It went through about 5 to 6 different phases to get the correct configuration. So, last year. So in any event, I have to get it published. I want to write a book because there's a lot of information, a lot of fascinating information. But not only is there a lot of fascinating information of a story, but it's all backed up by facts. I all have facts. I have so much evidence. It's unbelievable.
And you have a ton of stuff on your website, so throw that out there again so people know where to find you online.
Yeah, sure. It's called the OrionLines.com. I am the first, I'm a xenoanthropologist, the first public xenoanthropologist. And I'm also the first public ETV-ologist, which is an extraterrestrial vehicle-ology. And I'm the last ufologist. And all my work can be seen. I actually connected 4 different species to the images and videos, 4 different species as evidence. They're real. I am also the first to connect a UFO with another UFO, an image of another UFO. I have 43, and I got to the point where it was kind of like, well, this is pointless because the U.S. government knows who these craft actually belong to. You know, they know. So it's kind of pointless, so I stopped. Especially once I got to the Alpha Draconian. I think they're the Alpha Draconians, the huge pyramid-shaped craft, which is the all-seeing eye. The huge pyramid that's floating on the back of the $1 bill. Well, that's their craft. That's their ship. That's the pyramid-shaped ship above the pyramid.
Did Facebook give you any indication of when they're going to let you out of jail?
No.
How does that work? How does that work?
Well, it got messed up because I had my number changed.
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted to send me a number to my old phone, but it won't. And that's because, I've been using Facebook as an attack also. I figured out that taking information, spreading it through all the UFO and alien groups is a great way to get the information out. Well, they figured out that whole thing. The Bilderberg group had a meeting in 2019 regarding the weaponization of social media. Well, guess who? Yeah, that was me. So, you see, the Bilderberg group, the whole elite, they have all been working for Orion and worshiping Orion. It's a big nightmare. But anyway, Facebook.com/the Orion Lines is where you can find my site. Hopefully that will be up in a few days.
He'll be back.
But anyway, it's the OrionLines.com to find my work.
Awesome.
There's a lot of information. It's very clustery right now because I haven't really sat down to work it all out to make it much more easier to comprehend. But I can assure you, everything that I've said and that I've done has been for the advancement of humanity, and nothing but, as factual evidence, as much as possible. Anything that's non-factual will discredit me, and I don't want any of that.
The man's name is Ryushin Malone. He's been my guest tonight. You can see and read all of his research at www.theorionlines.com. Ryushin, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much, Cam. I really appreciate this. Thank you, listeners. Be well.
My Alien Life Podcast.
You can find my website at www.myalienlifepodcast.com, and please subscribe to my latest downloads at iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and at podbean.com. And please follow me and like me on Facebook and Twitter. My Alien Life is written and produced for broadcast at Studio 254 in the Northern Rocky Mountains. The music you are hearing is produced and created by ELEON. You can find all ELEON's work online at Heart Dance Records.